All right, friends, how are you today? Aaron here, bringing you some honest insight. I got into a really beautiful existential conversation with a friend of mine yesterday about a very interesting topic of God. What is God? And it's a very thick and interesting topic, and it was a really lovely conversation. I wish we would have been down here doing like a podcast together, but it inspired this to sit down and talk today about this concept. And we call this creator, right? We call God, Yahweh, Allah, all that is, Great Spirit. We know this source of creation by many different titles. And depending on our backgrounds and how we're raised, the religious ideologies that we've grown up in or choose to identify with, help shape this concept of God, what this creator is, and how it rolls through this planet with this people and manifests into our lives. For the sake of this conversation, I'm going to refer to this creator as all that is. To me, that's the words that best describe this grand creator. It's not masculine, not feminine, but both. It's not human, it's not animal, it's energy, it's everything. My personal concept of what all that is has been shaped through my personal life experiences, through the observable universe, through working with psychedelics, plant medicines like ayahuasca, and personal studies, prayers, and connecting with this. So for whoever this is supposed to be for, I'm throwing it out there. A personal concept of what all that is truly all that is. This great creator is something that is all around us, something that consumes us, and something that lives through us. So this idea of all that is lives through me, speaks through me. This part of God is literally all around me. It's like asking a human what is God is to ask a fish what's the water in which it swims. And I've always loved that analogy. It's literally everything. It's the air that we're breathing. It's the tornado. It's the storm. It's the eye of the hurricane. It's the earthquake. It's birds chirping on a beautiful sunny day. It's warmth. It's hug. It's love. It's a kiss. It's a warm embrace, just as much as it's fighting and anger and combativeness, and as much as it is one animal eats the other. This is all aspects of all that is. These are all aspects of God, experiencing God's self. And in order for God or all that is to experience itself, it had to create everything. And this all that is perfect. And this is where I think there's a huge difference between our personal concepts of what I've heard about the religious dogmatic gods and the energy of all that is that created all of us. Is this energy of all that is something that is perfect, and it's balance. It is perfect balance, and it continues to experience itself and continues to rebalance itself in its own perfection. Now, we as humans judge that perfection, and we say this needs to be changed, and this needs to be changed, and this is this. And we're going to get more into that in a second. So it's all that is means every single insect that's on this planet that tills the earth, that tills the soil, these animals that are underneath the soil, that fertilize the soil, okay? All of the rodents, all of the little creatures, the small cats to the big cats, the small dogs to the big wolves, small ferrets to giant bears, crocodiles, alligators, every fish in the sea. This is all a part of all that is. This is all a part of God. This is all a part of God experiencing God's self. And the balance of the animal world and the animal kingdom helps create the plant kingdom. Right? All of these animals and all of these insects help fertilize the soil for the plants. The rain falls, which the rain is godly. The rain is all that is, just as much as the sun is all that is, just as much as the clouds that cover the sun is part of all that is. And this is perfect balance. And the sun, we can adore the sun. The sun, we can say, this light source is the center of our universe, which is true. And without the sun, which we adore, without the sun, there's a potential that all of humanity, all of this life here on planet Earth, would cease to live. This is a very fair observation to make, which is why many people throughout history have worshipped the sun, personified the sun, created gods around the sun. And we certainly appreciate and live by the sun, right? We get up and work mostly in the daytime with the sun. This is when we garden. This is when we do all the things that we need to do for ourselves. It's mostly in the daytime. And now human society, we've worked ourselves to where we have to work at nighttime too. And this is also part of all that is God experiencing itself and balancing itself out. For us to work as humans, God is working through us. All that is working through us. This conversation is the part of all that is that's communicating with the rest of all that is, and whoever of the all that is that wants to experience this message is going to tune in. And we're all going to, like magnets attracting to each other. So we're constantly in a place of perfection that's experiencing itself, that's growing and expanding. And in order for us working people to have a day off, because God wants to have a day off, God works through me, God works through you, and for God to experience life through you, through your consciousness, God, or all that is experiencing life through me, through my consciousness, through me playing music, through me talking about astrology, through whatever it is. And that same energy, that creator, the grand creator created you and is living and breathing through you, and living and breathing itself, its air, appreciating its sunshine, appreciating its clouds. So we tend to appreciate certain things more than others, and this is our own personal judgments, right? And it's all this great balance. So although the sun can be the most adorned object in all of reality, and throughout most of history, if not all of human history, the sun is the most adorned object, without those clouds, without the rain, your crops that you've put into your garden would simply dry up and wilt, right? So we need the cloud coverage to create balance between those sun's powerful rays. We need the ability to go from day to night and experience the dark. We need the blue sky and those clouds to part to be able to see the stars and help us navigate. Okay, this is all a part of all that is. This is all a part of God experiencing itself. And just as these animals, right, if let's say a bird is fishing. That's what a bird wants to do. It wants to go catch a fish. And all of a sudden a bigger bird comes by and grabs that fish right out of that bird's mouth. That's a part of the godly act. That's a part of all that is. This is a part of the great balance. Now we humans, we put in certain things in place for that. Of human rights, it says the bigger, stronger person can't bully me out of this, okay? And this is us through our frontal lobes, the crowning achievement of humanity. This is the part of God that gives us consciousness, where all of the animal kingdom, this is real important here, all of the animal kingdom, they don't use tools. I mean, they're just finding an orangutan, I think, for the first time using a stick to kind of spear fish, which is really cool, right? To see chimpanzees, orangutans, monkeys, anything like that using a tool is quite profound and quite prolific to see. So for human beings, we are the apex predator. We are the apex crowning achievement of all that is. Okay? Why is that? We have this ability to manipulate nature in a positive way. We also have the ability to manipulate nature in a negative way. But what I mean by that is a human being can look at a tree and say, that's shade for me to go sit underneath. I can look at that tree and say, that's an apple tree. That's going to give me nutrients. Nutrients, it sounded weird. Nutrients when the tree's ripe and it bears fruit, right? So don't cut this tree down. Now, what about that tree over there? That tree can be used for good wood for fire. That tree can be used to build a house. That tree can be used to build a boat, and I can sail the seas. That tree can be used to create a violin, to create a guitar, to create a drum. Okay? So that's what makes human beings extremely special on this planet. And we are very special on this planet. And just as every creature, right, the cat chases the mouse, the dog or the wolf kind of chases the cat, The bigger animal always chases the other. And human beings have a role to play in this perfection of all that is as well, because again, we are God experiencing itself through each other, and we're just a mirror, a singular consciousness. A singular consciousness of all that is. All of creation is rolling through your fingertips. All of creation lives inside your heart. All of creation is part of your mind, is a part of your every single day. And it's just kind of stopping of the noise of the world to appreciate that this is a godly experience. This is a holy experience. Every single breath, every blinking awareness of consciousness that we have is this beautiful godly moment, is this beautiful moment for us to experience life, and that all that is experiences it through us to create our consciousness. So we have a role to play in the perfection and expansion of all that is. Now, I live here in Metro Detroit, Michigan. The number one killer of all animals is ticks, followed by mosquitoes, and then deer. Okay, none of those two insects and one mammal aren't deadly because of how dangerous they are, that they're going to run out and attack human beings. It's the nature of themselves that makes them kind of dangerous. And as far as the deer goes, we, as the apex predator here in this state and in the Midwest, we have to help control the population of deer. Some people are against hunting, some people are for hunting. It is what it is. It's all a part of the perfection. But if we, as the apex predators of the human beings here, don't help keep those deer population in check, there can be so many that it can be extremely deadly and extremely fatal for many families and individuals driving on the roads. So everything is constantly working through, okay? This God, this concept, this all that is, this one consciousness that's here to experience itself, that's manifested itself through each and every single person to experience music, to experience love, to experience joy, to experience the contrast of of hairs flying in your face, of random events, of joy, of sorrow, of pain, of pleasure. Okay? This is all godly. This is all part of all that is. This is all a part of this source creation that literally lives through us on a daily basis. And if we stop and breathe it in, if we stop and take a moment to recognize that part of ourselves, that part of every single interaction that we're having is part of this expansion of all that is. Now, here's where things get kind of interesting and tricky. As a kid, when I grew up, peanut butter and jelly is what I had almost every single day, like in elementary school, even probably through high school. I ate a lot of peanut butter and jelly. I still do. I still enjoy quite a few vegetarian dishes over processed meats. That's just me. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with it, and people can do whatever they want in life. That's the beauty of all that is, right? We can all get to experience and whatever we want. Nowadays, it's like illegal for people to bring peanuts into some schools because some people are allergic. Now, while some people are going to fight for preserving peanuts and say, well, these children need to have a healthy alternative of protein or whatever, and we should fight for this good cause to be able to keep these things in schools. And these people over here are saying, well, we need to fight the good cause as well and preserve and make sure that nothing is in the environment that's going to make my child sick or have my child have an allergic reaction or go into anaphylactic shock. They're both extremely valid. Right? They're extremely valid. And now we're going to raise the stakes here a little bit more and look at gun control. Now, there's a lot of people in this state of Michigan and across the United States, and the Michigan militia is a pretty big thing. I happened to do a special with Lisa Ling on Life with Lisa Ling on CNN about the Michigan militia. It came out a few years ago. If you can find it, and it's very interesting. It was very eye-opening for me to perceive that and to listen to the head of the militia talk about this. And on certain side, they are granted, it's like this is a right for you to bear arms. This is a right for you to have these things. And our government, who is us, we are the government, us people are the government. We put in place so that other people in the United States government would be able to bear arms to protect themselves from tyranny, from bad forces, from somebody that wants to do will against you. Similarly, when the bigger, badder bird wants to take the fish from the smaller bird, this is a way to protect yourself. And this was put into an amendments, okay? And people will fight for that. On the other side over here, people have just as equally of a good cause or good fight saying, well, there's school shootings, there's all these things that if we didn't have guns, wouldn't be an issue. And this is a very interesting dilemma. This is a very interesting concept. It's similar to, the rabbit saw that the wolf had teeth and the wolf's teeth are what kills. So the rabbits decided to remove their teeth because the teeth were bad. This is an interesting concept, but what we have here is it's the same. It's the same God. This is the same people are praying to the same God. The same people are praying to the same angels. The same people are praying to the same all that is. And this all that is two different sides, right? It's two different sides. And one's saying, I need to protect what I love and feel is right. And these people over here is, I want to protect and love what I feel is right. Okay, so this is, in our human minds, one of them is the bad. But neither of them are the bad. They're both just part of the all that is. These are both part of the godly experience. These are both part of God, the all that is, source energy, learning itself, fundamentally understanding itself, checking its own boundaries, seeing where its creation, us, humanity, is going. And there might not be a right or wrong. It's like the tolerance paradox. In order to have a tolerance paradox, and everything in this side, this circle, is tolerant, and everything outside this circle is a lack of tolerance. And in order to maintain a circle of complete tolerance, that means we have to be intolerant to everybody on the outside of the circle who wants to bring intolerance to our tolerance. That's why this is a paradox, because it's not possible. It's not possible. So we have these two different sides opposing one another and saying, I'm the side that's fighting for the good cause, and you are the bad side. You are the demonic side or the evil side, or, we can do this as our own human experience when we create a divide. When we stop for a moment, breathe, recognize that this is all that is. That this is all godly, that all of these conversations are a part of the great divine, that all of these conversations are source energy that's manifested itself, that's perfecting itself, that's expanding itself, that's having these conversations with self, that's showing a mirror to self, to experience self, to learn about self, to learn about its creation, to learn through its creation. So it's extremely important, I think, in those aspects when we're saying who's the good side, who's the bad side. It's like it's even, it's like the flood, not like the Great Flood, but there was a flood. There's floods all the time. There's floods in my friends down in Peru. There's floods here in the United States. Those floods destroy our crops. They destroy our warehouses of goods that we've worked so hard creating. And it's hard sometimes to see that that's godly. And we will pray to a God, or we'll pray to all that is, to make the flood stop. But sometimes we don't realize that that same all that is, that same God, is the God that created the floods to begin with. And it's kind of the same here when we look at the combativeness of guns, yes, guns, no. Peanut butter, yes, peanut butter, no. I'm allergic to cats and you're not. I'm not allergic to cats. I'm not allergic to cats and you're allergic to cats, so I want a cat and you don't want a cat. And, it's like, just because these are different sides of the same coin, and all of it is all that is. And when we remove and we help filter out the religious dogmatic concepts of this God, and that only these people get to experience God or get to experience eternal bliss when we die. Like, nobody knows what happens when we die. Not one person on this planet knows what happens when we die. And if they say they do, mark my words that it's only their perspective. They only know if somebody died and they came back to life, we can take that with a grain of salt, the same as them telling us a lucid dream. Now, there are plenty of dreams that people have said, oh, I saw this and this and this, and they've never manifested. They never came true. It was a dream. It was an illusion. It was a hallucination in our minds. It was something in the dream world. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to manifest here in the physical world. At the same time, we have, I don't remember the boxer's name. A boxer said, I had a dream that I killed this guy. I killed the guy that I'm about to fight. And he had a priest, a rabbi, and a monk, and I think a psychologist. You can fact check me here. Check that out. Give him an evaluation, a psychological evaluation. They all assured him, this is just a dream. You're not going to kill that man. And they fought, and he killed the man. The man died in the fight. We'll say it like that. So it's extremely challenging to say my perspective is the ultimate, or this perspective is the ultimate, or this person knows, or this pastor knows, or this religious group has the right idea, or this religious group has the right idea. Don't even listen to me. You know what I mean? Like, if this doesn't resonate with you, to me, this is an unbiased concept of what all that is this unbiased concept of God that is living through you to experience life through you, because you are your own unique song. I look at human beings as an orchestra. Each person is a complex orchestra of precise strings and brass and percussion, and all of these different elements create the human being that you are. And as human beings, we're a constant state of vibration. We're in a constant vibratory rate until this soul leaves this human vessel. Right? We're going to keep singing our song as much as we're alive. As long as we're alive, we're going to keep singing our song. And that means all that is, source energy, is singing through us. And that's such an important detail. And I want to, for a quick moment, talk about this. Is we're very hung up on identity right now. There's my religious identity, my social identity, my brand identity, my sexual identity, my identity of how I dress, the identity of the music I listen to, the identity of how I'm socially perceived through my work. There's all these concepts of identity. And for the most part, identity is a bit of a mirror, right? You can be you, and it's only natural for other humans to observe. Right? We're all observing all that is. And most of the time, we can have the intentions of being a good person and intentions of saying I'm a good person, but I believe in guns. And this person's a good person and they believe in no guns. And it's only natural for the opposition to point fingers and say, well, they're this or they're this, and they're not a good person because they believe this, or they are a good person because they believe this. So oftentimes our identity, although we can have a desire for our personal identity and how we want to be perceived by others, it's really not up to us. We just simply have to be. We have to simply play our song. And other people are either going to enjoy the song that we're playing, enjoy the song that we're singing, enjoy the composition that's coming through us. This beautiful, essence of life is your personal song. And whatever your song is okay. But when we stop playing our song to try to convince others how we want them to perceive our song to be, is when we're kind of missing out on a huge aspect of life. It's like breaking the fourth wall in the film industry. It's stopping and staring at the camera. It's removing ourselves from the essence of being to say, no. I need you to understand me as this way. I need you to appreciate me like this. I need you to accept me like this. I need you to validate me like this. So we have this little bit of self-identity crisis right now, instead of allowing ourselves to allowing all that is to roll through us, allow all that is source energy to emanate through us. We're a little bit too focused right now, in my personal observation, on how we want to be perceived and how we want the aspect of God that comes through us to be perceived. Take it for whatever it is. So, my friends, it's like you are perfect yet ever expanding in a perfect yet ever expanding world, in a perfect yet ever expanding universe. And everything that's going on in life right now is perfection. And even though our eyes, our minds, our hearts might judge and perceive certain events that are happening as not godly or not a part of a grand design or some turbulence that you think you personally need to do something for, because it's not, it's like we don't control the wind, we don't control the snow, we don't control, there's a lot of things that are out of our control. There's a lot of things that we have to surrender to. And the best thing that we can do is play our song, is to sing our song. And when we are singing our song, we naturally, by the vibrations, if I struck an E chord, an E string here in this basement, anything that's in the key of E will resonate. Whatever's in the key of D won't resonate. That's just how it is. If I strike something that's at 440, other things that are in the resonant key of 440 are going to naturally resonate with it. So it's like when we're singing our song, when we're naturally being ourselves, when we're allowing source energy, the spirit, great spirit, to be singing through us and living through us, and us being in harmony with that and not complaining about what everybody else is doing, we're naturally going to attract other people, other quartets, other musicians that are going to add to this grand orchestra that we get to play with, that we get to learn with, that we get to grow and expand with, that we get to harmonize with. Right? And it's okay when we have the encounters where we don't harmonize with somebody, It's just like if this person over here is singing country music and this person over here is like death metal and this person over here is EDM, they might not mix. But you're going to find somebody that makes EDM metal. You're going to find somebody that makes EDM country. You're going to find someone that makes country metal. You might even find somebody that makes country EDM metal. But you have to be willing to sing that song. You have to be willing to realize that this is all a part of all that is, and find the joy in these things. Find the joy in your song. Find the joy in the creation process. And be a little silly with it. Have fun with it. Be explorative. Don't be afraid to put ourselves out there, because that's exactly what this energy wants. It wants us to sing our songs. And it's no good when we're just kind of stuck in our own shells and hoping that everybody else just appreciates our song instead of vibrating and singing it. Right? So we're all a part of this perfection. We're all a part of this experiencing itself. We're all part of this one consciousness. And as far as, the concept goes of like sinning or doing something against God, I kind of challenge that idea. Like, what makes us think that we're so strong that we can do something against the Creator? And that gets it's a very interesting thing right there in itself. But it's like, you're always perfect and you're always expanding. And you're always learning. And we are always learning, and we're always learning together. And the more that we can be a mirror for one another, the more that we have the opportunity to reflect back and for us to see our own reflection and for us to make little changes and little corrections. That's why I always encourage, like, it's like fight like family, not like enemies. When you fight like family, there might be a conflict of something that's for the aspects of growth. Not growth for my control or growth for, growth is in we get to learn something. So there's a healthy aspect to calling each other out. There's a healthy aspect of showing up the mirror for somebody else and allowing us to see our own reflection. So there's healthy aspects for us to communicate with the other. That doesn't necessarily mean this conflict or this conversation, because we're at different sides, is bad or negative. Same as the guns, same as peanut butter, same as any other topic where we have the oppositions, right? These are both for the good. They're all for the greater good. Everything is for the greater good. And we're constantly experiencing the greater good, and we're constantly coming up to butting heads with what is and how all that is, this great spirit, this spirit consciousness, the consciousness of God, is expanding itself in its own perfection. I think that's a pretty good place to leave this. My friends, you are perfect, yet ever expanding, in a perfect yet ever expanding world, in a perfect yet ever expanding universe. And everything is exactly going to plan. Everything is a part of this great design that's so much bigger than you or I. And we have to surrender a bit and trust a bit in this great process. And whoever this was for, thank you for hanging out and being a reflection with me, or singing with me and playing this beautiful song together. I truly mean it. I love you. I wish you enough, and we'll see you soon.